In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create an animated typewriter text effect like this in Premiere Pro. I already have a paper texture image here on the first video track that I will be using as my background for this effect. I have also imported some typewriter sound effects I found online and placed them on the audio track. What we are going to do is type out a word, adding a carriage return, which is more like a typewriter's reset, and then typing out a second word. The first thing we need is some text. So I will move the playhead back to the beginning of my sequence. Select the type tool, or you could also click T on the keyboard. Then click anywhere in the program monitor and type out your first line. We are going to style this text up before we add any animation. Go up to the top of the window. Click on Graphics, which will open up the Essential Graphics workspace. Click on Edit. Check the fill color for our text and make sure it's the color you want. Next, for the font, we are going with Carrier for this one. Increase the size of this text a little by entering a value or using the slider here. Then, under Align and Transform, click these two buttons for vertical and horizontal center, which will center the text in the middle of the frame. Now, drag out that clip to match the one below. Next, we are going to animate our text with keyframes at each of these spikes in the audio waveform. Each represents a single typewriter click. I will mute the audio track for now. And with the text clip still selected, in the Effect Controls panel, I'll click the arrow beside that layer to open up the controls. And then, beside source text, click the stopwatch to set the first keyframe. Make sure that layer is highlighted, and then click T on the keyboard for the type tool and delete all the text. The text layer is still there, but now at this keyframe, no text appears. Come to the timeline, move the playhead forward to where the spike of that first typewriter click starts, and then back in that empty text frame, type the first letter back again, and you will see that here in the Effect Controls panel, another keyframe has been added at that position in the timeline. I will repeat those steps for each letter, moving forward to the next typewriter click and adding a character. You could easily cut this audio clip and move things for the characters you need. When done, I will bring forward the first word to my second set of typewriter clicks, add a line break, and then repeat that same keyframing process for my second word. You can also start with keyframing all your text first and then dropping in individual typewriter click sound effects in each keyframe. Turn back sound. Now, let's make everything bounce up like a paper on a typewriter. We can leave the playhead where it is now so we can see both our text. Come over to the Effects panel and search for Transform, which can be found under Video Effects, Distort Transform. Drag that effect to the text clip. And in the Effect Controls panel under Transform, you'll see Position. Click the stopwatch next to it to create a keyframe. Move forward 6 frames using the right arrow on your keyboard. And then, using the vertical position control, slide that text up to where we want the bounce to finish, which will automatically add a new keyframe. At the moment, it is a very simple straight movement. To add some bounce to this, we are going to make note of the value we have here for vertical position at our first keyframe, which in this case is 540. Then we will move forward 2 frames using the right arrow on my keyboard. Take that 540 we had, add 15 to it, and enter that value here. Then, move forward to the last keyframe, check the value for vertical position there. Move the playhead back 2 frames, subtract 20 from that value, and enter it here. The result we are looking for is a small movement down for the first 2 frames and a large movement up over the next 2 and a small movement back down into the final frame. We can make this effect look a little more natural by unchecking Use Composition's shutter angle and then changing the shutter angle to 180. And if we move forward frame by frame, you'll notice that this has added some motion blur to the effect. Now, we have our text bouncing up, but I would like this background to move with it. However, it has to be larger than the frame. I've already scaled my image up a bit. I have a little extra room to play with above and below without revealing any black video at the top or bottom. I want this background clip to bounce up exactly the same way as this text. Select the text clip, come up to the Effect Controls panel and copy that transform effect. Then, select the background clip, go right back to the Effect Controls panel and paste that effect there. You can see those keyframes have now been copied over to the background clip. Remember, I added those keyframes on the timeline where I could see all the text. I want those effects to begin somewhere where that carriage return sound is. Click over here on the timeline to move the playhead to this frame. And then, select all the keyframes in that transform effect and drag them to where the playhead now is. Then, do the same thing on the other clip. Now, our effect is done, and that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, leave a nice comment. Until the next one, kwaheri.